So it says complete the square. That means I'm going to add something so that I end up with a perfect trinomial square. The question is, what do I need to add? I take the coefficient of x, which is 2, so we want to remind ourselves, and I'm going to come up here at the top, I've got a formula, and it's b over 2 squared, the coefficient of x divided by 2 and square it. So I'm going to take 2, I'm going to take b over 2 squared, which is 2 over 2 squared, which is 1 squared, or 1. I'm going to add 1. This is now a perfect trinomial square. Square root of x squared is x, center sign is plus, square root of 1 is 1, and that says that x squared plus 2x plus 1 is x squared, is x plus 1, the quantity squared. Now on your pre-homework, that's what your answer will look like on the pre-homework today. Now tomorrow we complete the process. This is just the left-hand side. What do I need to add? And you're always adding. Now you're going to say, well, then next question is, why are you always adding? Well, I'm always adding because if I were to take x, say, plus 1 times x plus 1, the lasts will give me a plus 1. And if I were to take x minus 1 times x minus 1, if I multiply the last, I would still get a plus 1. So I'm always adding at the end, because that last sign has to be plus. And I want to turn it into a perfect trinomial square. So I'm going to take b divided by 2, remove the doubling, and square it, which is minus 10 divided by 2 squared, which is minus 5 squared, or positive 25. That says if I add positive 25, that's now a perfect trinomial square. Square root of x squared is x, center sign is minus, square root of 25 is 5, is x minus 5, this quantity squared. Not so bad. Now, this is the first place that you will see completing the square. Rarely do we complete the square to do what we're going to do tomorrow. It leads to other things. But this is the easiest place to have it introduced for the first time. Yes? I had to think about it, because your left is my right. That's okay. Now I want to add something, so this turns into a perfect trinomial square. So I take b divided by 2, square it, which is 9 divided by 2 squared, which is 81 over 4. So that says if I add 81 over 4, this is now a perfect trinomial square. Square root of x squared is x, center sign is plus, square root of 81 over 4 is what I squared to begin with, which is 9/2. Now, there are really two formulas that I personally use. One is the b over 2 squared, And that's if I have nice numbers like 2 or -10 or 9. But if I had fractions, like this next problem, b is going to be 4/5. Yeah, what do you do with the fraction? Well, I look at this being 1/2 times b over 1, or 1/2 times b squared. 1 times b is b, 2 times 1 is 2. And then you would say, well, why would you do that? Well, if I had 3/4 divided by 2, and I wanted to square that, this is a complex fraction, because that's 3/4 divided by 2 over 1. Then I would say, oh, well, it's 3/4 times 1/2, flip the denominator and square it, squared, which would be 3/8 squared. Now notice what I did, the difference between here and here, is that I pulled the 1/2 out in front, so in other words, I flipped it before I started. And that handles fractions rather nicely, so if I would have used 1/2 b, I would have said 1/2 times b, which is 3/4 squared, and notice I would have already inverted and multiplied. Either way, I don't care. I'm going to do these two problems both ways. So I want to add something so that this is a perfect trinomial square. So if I would say take b over 2 and square it, this is 4/5 over 2 squared, which is a complex fraction. So it's 4/5 times 1/2, invert and multiply, squared. 2 divides 4 twice. This is 2/5 squared, which is 4/25. So that means this is x, center sign is plus, 4/25 is 2/5, the quantity squared. Now again, I'm going to add something so that this guy, and I'll move it over shortly because some of you are still writing, becomes a perfect trinomial square. Now remember, this is going to be my answer for today. Tomorrow this will change, but for today, that's my answer. So I'm going to take, instead of taking, well, I see that's a fraction, and I say, so I want to take 1/2 times b and square it, which is 1/2 times -9/5 squared, which is -9/10 squared, which is 81/100. Because I used the 1/2, I already inverted. So, square root of x squared is x, center sign is minus, and what I squared was 9/10. So square root of 81 is 9, square root of 100 is 10, 9/10, and then that becomes your answer. Al.